Hey, what's going on, you all? Welcome back to another video. So, in this video, I want to talk to you all about something that I have been thinking about pretty much all week, and I was trying to figure out a way to connect my words to make sure it comes across, very clear. Because, I've been in this situation before, and there was some internal conflict there. And I thought to myself, why can you feel that you should be doing something like it's the right thing to do, but then you're judged by the outcome of that? So let me just go ahead and get into the video, and I hope it comes across what I'm trying to say. So have you ever noticed that how people decide whether or not something was the right thing to do is only after they see how it turned out? And these are the people, surrounding you. It's not based on the reason why you did it. It's not based on the values behind why you did it. It's just based simply on the outcome itself. So let me go ahead and give you all a quick example of that, because this is one of the clearest examples of it, right? So let's say you're in a situation where someone is messing with you, someone is crossing the line, someone is disrespecting you, or just pushing one of your boundaries. And you feel that, internal moment where you think, I'm not going to continue to take this. I'm not going to deal with this, or I can't let it slide. So you talk to someone about it like, most of us do. And they say, well, I would just leave it alone. Don't say anything. It's not worth it. But you decide, because it's bothering you so bad and you're the one dealing with it, you say, you know what? No, I'm going to go ahead and stand up for myself. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because if you stand up for yourself and it goes well, or the issue gets resolved, or maybe you might even gain some respect. It doesn't matter. If the outcome is good, the same people who told you not to say anything, then they suddenly change their story. Now it becomes, I'm so glad you stood up for yourself. I knew you had it in you. I knew you can do it. Or, you were led by God to do that. Or, everything happens for a reason. You get all the kudos. But take the same thing. Let's flip it around. If you stand up for yourself and it doesn't go well, let's say you get retaliated against, you get fired, you may get labeled as difficult, or you get punished in some type of way. The same people who were praising you before, if it goes wrong, then they'll say, well, I told you not to do it. See, I knew you was going to mess up. Now, it's the same action, it's the same reasoning, and it's the same intention. The only thing that changed was the outcome, right? So let me point out something else. Sometimes before you stand up for yourself, you have to plan to do that, okay? What I mean by that is simply this point right here. So I'm not telling you all to walk into your boss's office and just start lipping off, or being ready to fight your boss, because of course you're going to get fired. But don't plan on really standing up for yourself unless you got another job lined up just in case they retaliate. Sometimes you have to be smart about it. In other words, even like in a relationship or whatever else, don't start biting the hand that feeds you if you still need to be fed. Okay. There are times when standing up for yourself simply means you have to plan to act, okay? And then you have to plan to leave, just in case it doesn't go right. So, make sure you have your own car, you have some money set aside, you have options, you know what I mean? Like you can govern your own self, okay? That's what I mean when I say, sometimes you have to plan to stand up for yourself in case it goes wrong. So, if you decide to do that, and like I said, it doesn't go according to plan, then that negative outcome doesn't completely destroy you. Okay. Also, this also tells you, really something important about people. A lot of people don't judge decisions on whether they were right. A lot of times they judge them on whether they were comfortable to watch, or if it's something they would or wouldn't do. Standing up for yourself was never about guaranteeing a good outcome, because sometimes you're just not going to get a good outcome. But it is about agency, meaning, the ability to control your own life. Now, what I'm trying to get you all to understand is this right here. Okay, you can do everything right and still face consequences. You can be calm, you can be respectful, you can be clear, you can be fair, and still not have things work out in your favor. And sometimes people ask you, well, how did you say it? Well, how did you do it? You could have did it right. You could have been calm. You could have been non-confrontational. All of that. And if it still goes wrong, they'll blame you. You know, when people say you shouldn't have done that, what they're really saying is that outcome scares me. Or if I was in your situation, that outcome would have scared me. We have to stop pretending that bad outcomes automatically means bad decisions. Okay, like another example. Let's say two people are compatible. They're in a relationship. Things are going good. Basically they fit. They go well together. And let's say, there's an existential crisis, something neither of them caused, happens, and it drives them apart. Now, let's say they didn't have the conflict resolution skills at the time that they needed it, and the relationship ends badly. People will say, I told you not to get married, or you should have never married that person, or, if I was you, I would have never gotten that. Or you may tell yourself that. But that relationship could have been real. There was nothing, phony about it. It could have been loving, and it could have been like a really, fruitful relationship. But just because something ends badly doesn't mean that it was set up to fail from the beginning. So just to make a clear distinction, for anyone who's listening, sometimes you do know when something starts out wrong, when all the signs are there and you ignore them anyway, and you just decide to just jump head first into it, and then it goes bad. That happens. That's not what I'm talking about here. Okay. What I'm talking about is making a good decision with the information you had at the time and standing by the decision, even if the ending wasn't ideal. A lot of people only respect courage when it pays off. Okay. If it cost you something, then they will take that same courage that they encouraged you with, and then they'll frame it as a mistake. So before you decide to do anything, make sure you ask yourself, these questions, right? Make sure you ask yourself, okay, what I was asking for, was it reasonable? Okay. Don't go in there asking your boss for $100,000 a year when your skills and everything is not worth $100,000 a year. So ask yourself, what I was asking for, was that reasonable? Or ask yourself, did I communicate that clearly? Like how did I say it? And then you got to ask yourself, well, did what I want, did that align with who I am? And if the answer to those questions is yes, then the decision still stands. Now, I'm not saying, stay in a relationship, and you don't, you need to get out. It's a bad relationship and you don't have anything. I say better safe than sorry. So no, it's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, standing up for yourself when it's intentionally, the outcome shouldn't override the reason for doing it. So with that being said, see you in the next video.